Hello everybody, I'm Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you had a nice week, and I hope this will be an entertaining episode. First up, we're going to have some video game news. Nowhere near as much as we had last week, because that was Gamescom, and there's a lot of info, and just left and right, everywhere you turn, there was crazy game news and information. So it's not quite like that this week. We're going to then, after that, toy around, look at the very, very near future of comics, and then we have a review. And our review this week, at the end of the episode, is going to be Frankenstein, Issue 1, and this is a gorgeous, I believe this is a variant cover right here. Michael Walsh is the artist of the cover, I believe, and he actually wrote the book, and it's awesome. But we'll get into that later. Okay, now for video game news. Basically, Star Wars Outlaws, that's kind of the big video game news, and most reviews have been hovering around a 7 or an 8. There have been outliers of like a 4 and things like that. I've just had now roughly about 2 hours of time to spend with Outlaws, and I honestly think it's great. That's only about 2 hours though. Also, it's after, I believe they had like a day 1 patch or something too. So all these things you have to look at when you look at those reviews that have come out. But there's no way by any stretch of the imagination that I would say that this game is like a 4 or even a 5 or honestly even a 6. Like, I really do see, like, just 2 hours in, it's at least a 7. It might be an 8. The immersion, like when you're going through the world and seeing people and like overhearing messages and like where to find loot and stuff like that, it's very well done. It's awesome. You walk up to somebody in a cantina, they kind of like stop talking to the person that they're sitting next to, they look up at you for a moment. It's a really cool level of detail, and I'm right now playing on the 30 FPS mode, and that's supposed to be roughly around like 4K or so. Definitely check out Digital Foundry. They break it down in detail as to what it is exactly for the different modes and different consoles. But I really like it so far. I think it's really cool. I'm even going to stream on my channel on Twitch after this episode. So if you're watching live, you can definitely check that out if you want to. If the consensus is I should start a new game, I will. But otherwise, I'm only about 2 hours in, and basically trying to infiltrate the Pike base. So there's like 4 main criminal organizations: the Pikes, the Hutts, as in Jabba the Hutt, and let's see, Crimson Dawn, and there's like one other one. There's Zarek Besh, but Zarek Besh is not like a regular organization. So, but yeah, I really think the game is awesome so far. I like it a lot. But it's not a review. You know, like I said, only had 2 hours with it so far. And yeah, Nyx is adorable. The things that Nyx can do is great. The actual like traversal reminds me a lot of the more recent Tomb Raider games, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, or you know, the Tomb Raider remake that happened in what, 2015 or 2013, whenever that was. Reminds me a lot of that, actually. It's very solid. Now, other video game news. One of my favorite games of the last few years finally hits PlayStation tomorrow. Vampire Survivors. I absolutely love that game. Basically, it's inspired by like Castlevania and other like horror games like that. And you kind of like walk around with all these different characters. I want to say there's like 50. And then there's characters, if you get like DLC and stuff, from different franchises and like Among Us and things like that. And it's this very addictive game. It's like bullet hell, but your character is the bullet hell. Like, you'll have a character that has an axe, and they'll just, you know, throw that axe, but automatically at a certain interval. You can basically pick up items and stuff to make that interval faster. You can get more axes. You could also like throw in some holy water in there. You could throw in some garlic for a protective field. And when you start the game, each mission, each level is 30 minutes. So it's pretty wild. You will not probably make it the 30 minutes your first attempt. Your first attempt might be 5 minutes, might be 10, because you're slowly building your resistance by getting upgrades with gold as you play the game. But it's very addictive. The base game is only going to be like $5 US, and I think even with all the DLC, you're looking, I think, at under $15 total. And that's DLC over the course of like 2 or 3 years. So, but yeah, Vampire Survivors is this awesome indie game from Ponkel, and I absolutely love it. So I'll even be doing a lot of streaming of that on my channel. Not that I expect that all my viewers will appreciate it like I do, but I think it's really damn cool. And I think it was a very clever concept and, you know, a new way to play a game. And again, if you like things like bullet hell, like shooters and stuff like that, it's very much something I would recommend to check out. Also, again, Castlevania. Because as you see the game being played, you'll see that there's a very fun, tongue-in-cheek kind of like admiration towards Castlevania and other horror tropes. And there's some like goofy wackiness that Ponkel put in the game too. It's got all of that. It also has a ton of memes. So if you're a big meme fan, then Vampire Survivors will probably make you very happy. Also on PC, I believe Squirrel with a Gun finally comes out tomorrow. Squirrel with a Gun is about a squirrel with a gun, and you can bedevil people, or you can help them, and there's all these little missions and things to do. It's basically, I guess, a little bit like Goat Game, but it looks really cool. I think you're partially part of some sort of government experiment, and you break loose. Because it looks like the beginning of the game has you in a lab, and in that lab, you find a gun. And you're basically looking for acorns, and it looks really cool. I'm actually going to be getting that for PlayStation. The PlayStation release is in October. Xbox and PlayStation have an October release, and the PC version, or the Steam version, I guess it is, of Squirrel with a Gun is tomorrow. The game I usually start to talk about every week, Diablo 4, I can't say too much about it right now. What I can say is Infernal Hordes is awesome. I absolutely love Infernal Hordes in Season 5. I was happy to see after a few playthroughs of Infernal Hordes that there are a number of different decisions you can make. Because unfortunately, the first 2 times I did it, it was like all the same decisions. And I was like, well, that's kind of disappointing, you know? 6 waves and you've gone through all the choices you can make. But now I've seen a number of different ones. And it's basically wave-based combat. 6 waves of demons and monsters in hell. And then after that, you fight the Fell Council, which are former Zekarum priests that were corrupted by Mephisto, a very powerful, very evil demon. So, and also Mephisto ties in heavily to the Vessel of Hatred, which is the expansion coming out October 8th. So, I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, that's kind of just a recap of Diablo. The big news, they're going to be talking about the PTR for Season 6. And Season 6 will launch that same date, October 8th, when Vessel of Hatred comes out. And yeah, they're going to have a campfire chat. And it's going to be very interesting because basically what they did in Season 4 for itemization, they are now doing for basically progression, your character progression. It's going to change how Paragon boards work, apparently. It's going to change how your leveling works. It's going to be really interesting. The first rumor that came out based on some, you know, basically looking at a previous like PTR and stuff like that came out was 60 might be the main level. Like you might get up to level 60. Right now you can get up to level 100 total. So it's 1 through 50, and that's basic leveling. And then 51 through 100 is Paragon boards. But now it looks like you'll go from 1 to 60, and not exactly sure yet how Paragon boards are going to work and figure in. If Paragon's going to be almost limitless like it was in Diablo 3, I don't know how that's going to work. But it's some massive changes. And it's very interesting that apparently all of that's going to hit on October 8th. So that's a huge day if you're a fan of not just Diablo or Diablo 4, but also ARPGs. So, but yeah, for gaming news, honestly, that's pretty much it. Not a lot of massive news. At, I believe it's PAX West on Friday or Saturday, we might see our first gameplay or get more information at least on Borderlands 4, because apparently Gearbox is going to be at that PAX. They were not at PAX East, which I was at, which I really enjoyed. What was that, in March? And yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd be there then, but that wasn't the point where they decided to have the trailer out and everything. And honestly, it makes the most sense that they put the trailer out when they did, because Borderlands the movie just did not do what I think anyone at the studio really wanted it to do. So, vote for Hoarders to voice Claptrap in Borderlands 4. First off, I'm not gonna beat the original voice of Claptrap. I'm sure, and I'm sure as hell also not going to beat Jack Black. So I do not see myself as taking over Claptrap. It'd be like me trying to take over Joker. How you doing, Lomi? But yeah, we're actually done then with video gaming news for this week. Of course, next week Definitely join us for more Diablo news, because by then the PTR will be out and I can talk all about the craziness with level progression in Diablo 4 that'll be coming with the Vessel of Hatred expansion. Okay, everybody. It's now time for us to toy around. Sadly, we don't have a lot to toy around with this week. But, you know, I tried to find a couple cool things, and we'll see how it goes. First up, we have Pamela Isley, also known as Poison Ivy. This figure is 12 inches tall. As you see, comes with 4 profiles. That's what they call the heads now, profiles. And then it has that little baby, plant baby thing from that specific episode of Batman the Animated Series. It's a great episode. It's basically the idea that she's basically given up a life of crime and is gone to the suburbs and has a family. But as you can see, the little baby there, that's not, there's more than meets the eye to what's going on. And then there's another episode where it's her and all these other women that have, like, I think it's a spa, if I remember correctly. And they're going around with those backpacks, which I think had chlorophyll, but I'm not 100% sure. No, not the backpack. It's more like a, looks like an oxygen tank, but it's not an oxygen tank. So you get a number of plants, you get a rose, you get like a little cutting from a plant. It's a lot of detail. Just like it was with Batman, Joker, the Harley Quinn, and Mr. Freeze figures. They also did a really cool Phantasm, and that had a really cool spoiler feature that you could only get if you bought the limited version through Mondo. Okay, now with all of this awesomeness, all this detail, all these pieces, yeah, it's $210. It is 12 inches tall, though. It is a 12-inch figure. So you got to look at everything in being in scale with the 12-inch figure and all those accessories and everything. And right now, plastic does not seem to be cheap. So, yeah. I think it's really cool looking. I do not have any of the Mondo Batman figures. If they were deciding to, like, do a 6-inch scale, I would be interested in checking that out. Obviously, I wouldn't expect the same level of detail, but I would expect some pretty incredible detail still. Because, as you know, if you saw the episode, you may not know if you didn't see the episode or check out San Diego Comic-Con this last year, they do have 6-inch Ghostbuster figures coming out from the real Ghostbusters. And it includes Sam Hain, the Boogeyman, Egon Spengler, and Peter Venkman. And those look phenomenal. And again, those are going to be in roughly a 6-inch scale, not a 12-inch scale. So it is possible they could totally end up doing the Masters of the Universe and the Batman animated figures in a smaller scale. Okay, so after that we have a little Marvel. A little Marvel for everybody. Avengers Infinity War, The Outriders. So these are like the frightening looking like soldiers that Thanos was using in the movie, and I don't believe they ever did figures of them, but now they have a 2-pack and the pre-orders go live tomorrow. I unfortunately could not find a price for them though, but there they are. I think they look really creepy. There's an alternate head for one of them that looks like it has like almost like antlers or horns. It's hard to say exactly what it is. That first figure too, actually I think both of them are at 4 arms. So they can do a lot of insane poses, looking very like animalistic in their posing. So this could be very popular. It's hard to say. The what was it, like a 2-pack they did of Sentinels? That was really popular. So who knows? The Outrider 2-pack could also be incredibly popular. I believe it's a Hasbro Pulse or it's Amazon.com. It's like one of those two, possibly both. And those pre-orders go live tomorrow. And with that, everybody, we're actually done toying around for the week. There wasn't that much. A lot of it was kind of like Oh, let's see. There was a Super Ultimate 7 or whatever series. But the issue I have with talking about that on Hoarder's Comic Flex is a lot of those figures get canceled. So I feel kind of iffy talking about those because of how many that have been canceled, how many lines have just been ended. They do have, I believe it's Lord. If I have the name wrong, I apologize. I want to say it's Lord Draxon from Power Rangers, and it looked nice. Like it has multiple heads, a lot of cool weapons, a lot of detail because this whole line does these 7 ultimate figures or ultimate 7 figures. But again, I just don't feel comfortable focusing too much on them because of the cancellations, and then also how long it could take to get a figure. The Hank Scorpio figure, I kid you not, was like a year and a half to 2 years. The Hank Scorpio Simpsons figure they did. I don't know what exactly went wrong with that line, that like whole wave of figures, but yeah, like it was a year and a half to 2 years from pre-orders of when they actually came out. I had a friend who loves that character from that amazing Simpsons episode that's kind of like where like he's a James Bond villain, Hank Scorpio. Yeah, and he's like, when is it shipping? What is going on here? And it was just really kind of funny, but not funny that he was going through that or anyone ordering was going through that, but that it would take that freaking long. Like, never in a million years would I expect something like that, you know? Okay, everybody, we are done toying around for the week. Now we are going to look at the future of comic books, all the way to 1 week from today. It was worth it, right? It was worth that little synthesizer interlude. Okay, so we are going to look at the comic books now that are coming out next week. And first up, we have... One second here. Actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. For me to see the screen, it's smaller than what you're seeing, let me tell you, because I had to have a number of little screens up. Minor Arcana by Jeff Lemire. Art and story by Jeff Lemire. So, yeah, he's awesome. He does a lot of horror books. He's taken on a lot of different popular characters. And now he's got this magic series coming out through Boom. And I think it sounds really cool. It's about a magic user named Teresa, and it focuses heavily on tarot. And issue 1 comes out next week. So pretty much everything that Jeff Lemire has done recently has been at least interesting, if not creepy, if not frightening. Let's see. Someone out there, Mike, had shivers run down his spine when you played that on the... Maybe he did. We'll never know. We'll never know. But what's really neat about this and makes me excited is this is an ongoing series. So Jeff Lemire, for the last year, I want to say, has done a lot of different horror series all under this Orchard label. And they're all different mini-series, but here's an actual ongoing. So it's something you can enjoy every month, every 2 months for probably, I'm going to guess, at least 12 issues. Because I can't see it ending soon. And if it's an ongoing, not a mini-series, it's probably not going to be 6 issues. So it's something to look forward to, especially as someone who enjoys Jeff Lemire's writing. And I'm actually really interested in this because I could swear that just about every other project, someone else did the art. So I'll have to double check that. But yeah, Gideon Falls, I believe, is the name of one of his best books. It's insane. If you're a fan of Twin Peaks, I highly recommend it. Um, yeah, Jeff Lemire, everybody. Next up, we have Boy Wonder #5 by Junie Ba. I have loved this series. As far as I know, it is a miniseries. I don't think they'll make it an ongoing. And basically, it's Damian Wayne trying to find out who he is as a person. And is he more of his grandfather? Is he more of his father? So is he more like Ra's al Ghul, or is he more like Bruce Wayne? And Talia, what effect did Talia have on him? This is all told like a fairy tale with this gorgeous artwork that looks at basically him trying to stand on his own and go against the League of Shadows. Now, what's really cool is in the last issue, all the Robins ended up basically like rescuing him. So now they're all like teamed up with Damian to take on whatever it is that's going to happen. The artwork has this dreamlike vibe. It's very cool. Like this cover right here is Junie Ba artwork right here. And yeah, I very much like Boy Wonder. It's probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year. It's a 6-issue miniseries. This is issue 5, I believe. So we're almost done with the miniseries. They'll obviously do a trade or hardcover, but it's very good. Boy Wonder, #5. Venom War #2. A knockdown, drag-out wrestling match for who is actually going to, basically be the King in Black. Who's going to take over? Is it going to be Eddie Brock? Is it going to be an alternate Eddie Brock? Or is it going to be Dylan, his son? So, the first issue was a lot of fun and kind of like took place at a wrestling ring. Most of it, anyway. And like you had Eddie show up there and basically say that, this is where the, fight is going to go down and everything. And Dylan is trying to decide what he was going to do. And it looks like the crazy wrestling analogies are going to continue with issue 2. But yeah, Venom War 1 was a lot of fun. Again, this is a crossover. I don't feel that you need to get every Venom War book out there. You should probably be able to understand it well and enjoy it just with the basic Venom book and Venom War. So definitely, unless you're a huge fan, just focus on the main books. You should be able to understand what's going on. A lot of the other books are going to be kind of like tie-ins and things like that. And finally, next week, Absolute Power #3. Okay? Yeah, this has been great. You have the daughter of Brainiac, you have Failsafe and Amanda Waller all teaming up to basically incarcerate the superheroes and take their powers away from them. And some heroes did not go gently, and a number of them are trying to fight this and save their friends. But honestly, it looks like Amanda Waller has won. And it's been a really great miniseries, crossover, whatever you want to call it so far. So, oh my god, Xbox Live Mike took their powers. You heard it here first, everybody. In chat, XLM said, I took their powers. Wow. The thing I really look forward to is Green Arrow here. Green Arrow is this interesting wild card because he's always been a little less liberal than some of the members of the Justice League. But the idea that he would team up with Amanda Waller is crazy. So I'm thinking that he has some sort of ulterior motive. He has some plan. And he basically embedded himself with Amanda Waller, Failsafe, and the Brainiac Queen in order to, take this all on. And I'm interested to see where that goes. So, Absolute Power #3. Okay, everybody. We are done looking at the future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. It is now time for us to have our weekly comic book review. And here we go. Frankenstein, #1 by Michael Walsh. This gorgeous cover is actually by Michael Walsh himself. I thought this book was very good. What's really neat about this book is I had the Universal Monsters Dracula, and that was also a 4-issue miniseries and was phenomenal. The artwork, absolutely enchanting, gorgeous. Probably around Halloween, I'll break down and get the hardcover version of that book because of how good it was. But that one very much stood right on Bram Stoker's novel. Like, there weren't a lot of epic changes. It would pretty much followed that. There were some very cool moments, like with dialogue and things like that aren't in the original. But a lot of the framework, most of it, was intact. And most of the same exact characters. Like, it would very much... It very much was hewn closely to the original, okay? Here, Michael Walsh takes some interesting liberties, and so far this has been a very good read. So, you have Dr. Frankenstein, and you don't have Igor here, you have Fritz. And Fritz and Dr. Frankenstein are digging up a grave to get parts for their creation. Meanwhile, right before they arrived at the grave to do that, a young boy is mourning his father who recently passed away. And he's talking to his father, he's playing with his toy by the grave, but when he sees these people showing up late at night like this, he runs and basically hides behind another tombstone, and he sees these ghoulish, sick men dig up his father. And he's horrified. He doesn't understand what the hell's going on. Hello, Super Hour Podcast. Hello. He's horrified. He doesn't know what's going on, but he wants answers. And he loves his father. So, they dig up the body. They make a comment saying, like, the skull's damaged. This won't do. But these hands, these are good, strong hands. So, they take the body... They load it up into their, like, wagon vehicle, and once they do that, and they, like, head towards the front of it, the young boy dives into the wagon and pulls a blanket, or whatever the covering is, over himself. And so he follows these people where they're going, to a castle. And Dr. Frankenstein and Fritz basically bring Frankenstein to life. And this young boy is there in the castle seeing these horrors happen firsthand, and it's awesome. It's really good. It's very creepy. It's a really neat twist. I'm very impressed with it so far. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that the creature, or I guess you'd say Frankenstein's monster, does see the boy and shows that the humanity or vulnerability that Frankenstein shows in, like, the original film, you know, unless he was, like, terrified of something. But yeah, I really like this a lot. I like the artwork, I like the writing, I like the clever twists. I think it's very cool. Also, the commitment, again, it's only 4 issues. So only, like, for 4 months are you able to get this book and be like, hey, that's awesome. And if you love it, then who knows? They might do even more in the Universal Monster series. So far, if I'm correct, it's been Dracula. Then they went to The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And now it's Frankenstein. As far as I know, they have not done Wolfman, The Invisible Man, or Bride of Frankenstein. They haven't done any of those yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. They just haven't done them yet. But yeah, this is really good. It's really cool. It's around spooky season, right? Like technically, yeah, it's like the end of August, right now, but September is just right around the corner. So is Halloween. So this is going to come out at a really good time. Like issue 3 is going to be out in October. Issue 4 probably November. So very cool, very seasonal, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, especially as a horror fan. Okay, everybody. I want to thank all of you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And let's see. What else do I have to say? Oh, yeah. So if you're watching this live, I'll actually be doing some Star Wars Outlaws in about 9 p.m. Central. So right around about 20 minutes from now. Again, if you're watching live. This will make absolutely no sense if you're not watching live. Okay. But yeah, twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. And let's see, Games on a Plane, another stream I'm part of with Xbox Live Mike, where we play games on a plane. Tomorrow, I believe that new time is 8 p.m. Central. Am I correct, XLM? Is it mindful and demure? For some reason, there's a heart icon. Okay, it is mindful. Okay, okay. But yeah, 8 p.m. tomorrow Central Time is going to be Games on a Plane. So definitely check that out. Keep in mind, again, Vampire Survivors coming out for PlayStation. It's only going to set you back $5 to try it out. That's the base game right there. So I highly recommend it. And yeah, thank you for watching, whether you watched it live, whether you watch it at your leisure. It's greatly appreciated. And again, I don't harp and preach on this, but if you like it, the show, feel free to sub. And if you know anyone else who likes comic books, toys, or just a middle-aged man geeking out every week, then definitely sub or tell somebody you know that would like that to sub. Thank you, and I hope you have a great night. And maybe I'll see some of you as I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws. Have a good one. Bye-bye.